Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they made it to the second round. But it still wasn't enough to go far in the NHL playoffs. They lost disappointingly to Florida. And for a decade, we talked about the core four. The core four. Do they need to change the core four? Well, they finally did, Craig. Mitch Marner took his talents down to Vegas. So the one big question for Toronto is, will the Leafs post-core four team be better or worse?
I'm going to put a stake in the ground here, Mike, and say they're going to be better. Because I think they relied on too few to do too much. And so all you hear about is a core four. Craig Berube at the beginning of training camp asked what he liked most about coming into this season. He goes, I don't have to hear about the core four. Well, the other players don't have to hear about the core four. You're going to need to lean in on other players. And I'm going to go right to the captain. This is now clearly Auston Matthews' team. He is the guy that can drive this team. We know that his abilities are world-class, one of the best in the world. We've seen him not only come into the league as an elite goal scorer, but develop his game as an elite two-way player. I think now Auston Matthews, a healthy Auston Matthews, can really force this team to take that next step forward. Listen, we can talk about the core four and say, can they be better? They weren't very good when it came to playoffs. This is a very good regular season team. I don't see it being much different. The question is, can they get themselves up to a level where they can compete against the very best in the East? And this is the question that Brad Treliving has asked himself. They had to make the decision to change their group. I understand that it was going to change. But I think with Auston Matthews and William Nylander, that they have two superstars up front that can drive this team to greater heights come playoff time.
They're going to be good. But I would say, I'm going to split it. In the regular season, Craig, I think they're going to be worse. I think they're going to be worse this year without Mitch Marner on their team. And they're hoping that that won't matter because they'll make the playoffs anyways. And in the playoffs, they will be better. But the reason why I'd be concerned about them in the regular season, yes, Auston Matthews, if he's healthy and he looks amazing so far in training camp, that will go a long way to supplying the 20-something goals that Mitch Marner scored and replacing some of the points and driving the offense. But I looked at last year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were right up there amongst the league leaders in winning one-goal games, which is a great stat to have, but you don't want to play in too many of those because you probably won't win quite as many as they did last year. They were amongst the league leaders in wins when getting outshot. That is not an ideally sustainable stat. They want to control play more. They didn't do it last year with Mitch Marner. I don't know if they do it more without him. And maybe most importantly, when you add that save percentage, shooting percentage, that PDO stat, they were again in the top couple in the league, which does a bit of a measure of talent as well, a bit of luck. All those things broke in Toronto's favor last year in the regular season. I don't think they'll all break the same way, even if they were to play exactly the same. And so that's where my concern. And yes, they're going to be fine. Goaltending, rock solid. Stolarz and Woll have been really good. They've shown themselves to be an elite level duo. If one gets hurt, the other one can carry it. They're set. They return all the defensemen, same guys. They're going to be really good back there. Great dynamic, great comfort. Craig Berube likes what he has in them. The forwards are a bit of a wild card because of the departure of Mitch Marner and how everything else is going to fit. But with Auston Matthews driving line 1 and William Nylander driving line 2 and the power play going to be good with John Tavares, they're going to be fine. But I just think some of those things that worked out so well last year, if they don't work out well during the regular season, I don't think they get the same number of points this year as they did last.
Yeah, I agreed, Mike, and I think the point about the regular season taking a little bit dip is legitimate. Craig Berube also came in last year and wanted to emphasize a different style of play. And I think there was an adaptation to that style of play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now they better understand it. I think they're more committed to it. You talk about the blue line. I think it's rock solid. I love the goaltending. I think when you start to look at that back end of the defensive part of the team, I think that they're a team that can have success come playoff time. Obviously, they need Matthew Knies to continue to rise up. They need, obviously, John Tavares to try to find a similar level of play that we saw him play at last year. But even deeper down the lineup, and you look at where they add Nicolas Waugh, they add Dakota Joshua, and they're trying to get bigger. And I think the whole idea is they see where they got pushed around a little bit in the playoffs in previous years, not just last season, and they want to be bigger. They want to be a little bit more, I guess what I would call playoff complete. And there's no complete team come playoff time, but there is a template for being able to play in the playoffs. And I think that that's where they're moving. And that may be the experiment that's the regular season, But this is now for the Toronto Maple Leafs and this group of players about success in the playoffs. And I think that's where they're trying to move towards.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I will just say this. The reason they were lost to Florida was not because they got bullied. It's because Florida's third line outplayed and outscored them. It was the offense, the playmaking, the creativity that Florida showed throughout their lineup, not just the sort of brawn. And that, to me, is the great experiment, how they balance the playing with the checking, the offense with the defense. They find the balance. They have the roster to be really good, but it remains to be seen if they can do it quite as well as they did last year in the regular season.